The world was still and hushed as dawn crept over the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and gold. A sense of calm enveloped the small town, while a gentle breeze rustled through the trees, whispering secrets only the early risers could hear. In the heart of this tranquil morning, an old poker table stood alone on the patio of a dimly lit backroom. Its surface, worn and scratched from years of heated battles over cards and chips, awaited its players like a soldier before battle. The smell of fresh coffee wafted from inside the house, mingling with the crisp air outside. The table was adorned with glimmering stacks of colorful poker chips that caught the first rays of sunlight. They glinted brightly against the faded green felt. All was set for an extraordinary showdown where fortunes would be won or lost. As moments passed, the stillness would soon be disrupted by eager footsteps approaching. Each footstep echoed like distant thunder, amplifying anticipation as if even nature itself held its breath. The stage was set for an unforgettable morning of poker at dawn, where chance and skill would collide in a dramatic dance around that worn-out table. As the sun continued its slow ascent, the first player arrived, a tall man with a weathered face named Frank. He wore an old leather jacket that had seen better days, a reflection of the many late-night games he had played. Frank was known for his sharp wit and even sharper instincts. For him, poker was not just a game but a lifeline, a way to escape the hardships of life that loomed outside his door. Moments later, Lily strode in, a vibrant burst of energy in a bright red dress. Her confidence radiated from her every step, and her background as a former champion made her both admired and feared at the table. She had something to prove this morning, reclaiming her title and respect among players who once looked up to her. Then came Marco, casually leaning against the doorframe with an easy smile. He was the jokester of the group, his laughter infectious. But beneath that charm lay a mind that calculated odds with precision, always ready to turn the playful banter into serious bets. Lastly, there was Old Man Jenkins, an enigmatic figure who shared tales of his glory days while playing on borrowed time. His eyes sparkled with mischief as he shuffled his worn deck of cards like they were secrets waiting to be unveiled. Each player brought their own story to the table, all converging for this exhilarating game at dawn. As the players settled around the worn poker table, a palpable buzz of excitement filled the air. Stacks of colorful chips towered in front of each participant, glimmering in the morning light like treasures waiting to be claimed. Frank cracked his knuckles and eyed his competitors, determination etched across his face. The thrill of the game was like a shot of adrenaline, and he welcomed it, ready to dive into the unfolding drama. Lily, with a confident grin, shuffled her cards expertly, her eyes scanning her opponents for tells. She was ready to display her skills and reclaim her place among them. Marco leaned back in his chair, casually flicking a chip from one hand to the other, teasing tension with his banter. "Who's ready to lose their breakfast money?" he joked, eliciting laughter but also sharpening the focus on what was at stake. Old Man Jenkins adjusted his glasses, a twinkle of mischief in his eyes as he dealt the first hand. Each card that fell onto the table seemed like a piece of fate being sealed, deepening the stakes for every player involved. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as they picked up their cards. A test of skill, luck, and nerve had officially begun. As the first hand unfolded, the atmosphere thickened with tension. Frank boldly raised the bet, his heart racing as he piled more chips onto the table. Lily narrowed her eyes, carefully studying him before matching his wager with a confident smile. The stakes felt higher than just money. It was about pride, reputation, and reclaiming what they each held dear. Marco leaned forward, his playful demeanor now replaced with keen focus. He made a quick calculation and decided to call the bet, a move that shifted the energy around the table. "Just trying to keep it interesting," he remarked lightly, but there was an edge to his tone that hinted at the seriousness of the game. Old Man Jenkins watched with a knowing smirk, his years of experience giving him insight into how each player responded under pressure. As he dealt the next round of cards, players exchanged glances filled with suspicion and strategy. Emotions ran high. Each hand brought new surprises and unexpected losses. The tension surged as they placed their bets, inching closer to either victory or defeat. With each round, chips stacked higher or disappeared, and it became clear that in this morning's game, nothing was guaranteed. Only the thrill of uncertainty filled the air. As the game progressed, luck began to weave its unpredictable thread among the players. In one hand, Lily pulled a flush that left her opponents gasping in disbelief. The cards seemed to dance in her favor, and she reveled in the moment, confident and triumphant. "Sometimes, it's just your day," she remarked, a sparkle of mischief in her eyes. Conversely, Frank faced a harsh blow when his strong starting hand unraveled before him. He had hoped for a winning streak, but the turn of fate saw him fold and lose significant chips in an instant. Disappointment washed over him as he leaned back in his chair, frustration brewing beneath the surface. "You can never bet on luck alone," he muttered, reminding himself of the fine line between confidence and chaos. Marco experienced his own roller coaster of fortune when he managed to bluff his way through a tough round. With a cheeky grin, he pushed all in on what appeared to be a weak hand, a gamble that paid off spectacularly when Jenkins's cards fell short. "You see, it's all about playing the player," Marco laughed, reveling in his unexpected victory. Yet, even old man Jenkins had his share of luck turn against him. Just when he believed he had the upper hand, a single card turned his hope into despair, leaving him staring at the table with wide eyes. Each hand reflected how unpredictable luck could be. Victories and losses danced together like shadows at dawn, reminding everyone that anything could happen at the poker table. With each round, the stakes grew, and so did the sound of the game. A symphony of clinking and clattering chips that filled the air. As players placed their bets, chips fell from eager hands, cascading onto the table like hail against the pavement. The sharp, crisp sounds echoed in the morning stillness, drawing attention not only from the players but also from the waking town beyond. Lily pushed a hefty stack of chips forward, the clatter resonating with confidence and determination. Each chip landed with a satisfying thud, punctuating her bold move, as if to say she was ready for anything the game could throw at her. Marco responded with a playful flick of his wrist, sending his chips tumbling forward in a chaotic heap, their sounds mingling like laughter in the air. Even Frank joined in, letting his chips tumble down with a heavy heart when he made a reluctant call after losing hope. The noise faded into a tense silence as old man Jenkins reached into his pile, lifting his chips as if they were precious gems before letting them fall. Each sound became part of a high-stakes rhythm that echoed emotions. Anticipation, excitement, disappointment, adding layers to the unfolding drama at the poker table. As the game unfolded, the next hand proved to be a critical turning point. Old man Jenkins, having been quiet for most of the game, suddenly came alive with a glimmer in his eye. He had been dealt pocket aces, a rare and powerful pair that could change everything. The air thickened with anticipation as he quietly calculated his next move. He raised the bet significantly, sending shockwaves through the table. Frank, still reeling from previous losses, hesitated but ultimately decided to call, desperate to turn his luck around. Lily, sensing an opportunity, quickly followed suit, her competitive nature ignited. Marco leaned back, gauging the tension before deciding to fold. He didn't want to risk it against Jenkins's sudden aggression. As the flop revealed 3 cards, 2 hearts and a 4 of diamonds, Jenkins's confidence soared. He placed another hefty bet, his voice steady and commanding. Frank gulped as he considered his options. The weight of the moment hung heavy. One wrong move could spell disaster. Finally, Frank decided to go all in with what little he had left, fueled by desperation. As Jenkins revealed his aces triumphantly, the astonished gasps of the players echoed around the table. It was a remarkable display of skill and luck that shifted not only chip counts but also the entire dynamic of the game, leaving Frank on edge while cementing Jenkins's dominance at the table. As the game wore on, the odds began to weigh heavily on the players, creating an ever-present tension around the table. Frank continued to wrestle with disappointment, his confidence shattered after Jenkins's impressive play. The mounting pressure had him reassessing his strategy, feeling increasingly hopeless as he watched his chip stack dwindle. "At this rate, I might as well walk away," he muttered under his breath, doubting whether he could make a comeback. Meanwhile, Jenkins reveled in the rising tides of fortune, his sense of confidence soaring with each successful hand. He watched his opponents with keen eyes, noting their apprehension and hesitation. "The game has its moments," he said to Lily, who was now tightening her own bets in an effort to stay afloat. Lily, feeling the weight of her past victories over her shoulders, tried to ignite that familiar spark but sensed frustration creeping in. She started to question her decisions, uncertain if she should take risks or play it safe. Marco, however, thrived amidst chaos. No longer just a joker in the mix, he now sensed a real chance at victory simmering just beneath the surface. With the odds swinging like a pendulum, fortunes began to shift dramatically. As doubts began clouding Frank's focus and Lily grew anxious about her strategy, Marco's playful nature transformed into sharp determination. Everyone felt how deeply the game could impact their fates. As the game reached its peak tension, rivalry ignited between Lily and Marco, an undercurrent of history sparking like electricity in the air. The two had faced off in many games before, with Lily often coming out on top, but today felt different. Marco was determined to turn the tables and reclaim his pride. Their eyes locked across the table, and a silent challenge passed between them. When the next hand began, Marco boldly raised the bet, a smirk playing on his lips as he added chips with reckless abandon. "What's wrong, Lily? Afraid to lose again?" he teased, his tone laced with playful arrogance that masked a deeper desire to win. Lily took a deep breath, her heart pounding. She could feel the weight of their rivalry pressing down on her. "I'm just warming up," she replied coolly, pushing forward her own stack of chips defiantly. The tension crackled as she matched his raise, her determination hardening. As the cards were revealed, it became clear that this hand would determine more than just chips. It was about pride and reputation. Each player held their breath as Lily and Marco eyed one another, knowing this showdown could change everything. With emotions running high, they both prepared for a confrontation that would leave no room for doubt or hesitation. Only one would emerge victorious. The final hand arrived, and the tension at the table reached a fever pitch. Marco, feeling the adrenaline coursing through him, pushed all his remaining chips forward in a bold declaration. "I'm all in," he announced, his voice steady but eyes gleaming with excitement. The challenge hung heavily in the air as Lily stared at him, her heart pounding. She took a moment to assess her hand, a pair of kings, and then glanced at Marco, who wore a confident smirk. Refusing to back down, she too declared, "I'm all in." The stakes were now monumental, and every player held their breath as the weight of their decisions settled upon them. Old Man Jenkins watched with keen interest, sensing that this showdown would be one for the ages. Frank, watching the two rivals clash, felt a mix of anxiety and anticipation. He had only a few chips left but knew he had to play his cards wisely. "I'll call," he said quietly, his voice barely audible over the tension-filled silence. As the dealer revealed the community cards, an ace, a 10, and a 5, the atmosphere crackled with suspense. The players leaned in closer as they revealed their hands, each hoping for victory. Marco showed a straight while Lily revealed her pair of kings. Gasps filled the air when Jenkins flipped over his pocket aces, sealing an unforgettable conclusion to a high-stakes game where fortunes were won and lost in an instant. As the players gathered their thoughts after the intense game, the aftermath echoed through their emotional landscapes. Old Man Jenkins basked in the glow of victory, savoring the sweet taste of triumph that reminded him of his younger days. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, his confidence rekindled, as he exchanged knowing glances with his opponents, who had become more than just rivals. Lily, on the other hand, grappled with disappointment. The weight of her losses hung heavily on her shoulders, igniting a fire within her to reclaim her former glory. She vowed silently to return stronger, her competitive spirit unbroken despite the setback. Frank sat quietly, feeling a mixture of embarrassment and resolve. He had entered the game seeking escape but left with a deeper understanding of his own vulnerabilities. The experience compelled him to reflect on his life outside the poker table, planting seeds of change in his heart. Marco's playful demeanor had shifted. While he had enjoyed moments of success throughout the game, he couldn't shake off the feeling that this rivalry with Lily had evolved into something more profound. Their connection now felt like a dance, each move calculated and charged with emotion. As they all parted ways, the game lingered in their minds, a shared experience that intertwined their fates. Each player left with lessons learned and memories forged under the early morning sun, knowing they would carry these moments forward into their lives beyond the poker table. As the sun fully rose over the horizon, casting a warm glow on the now empty poker table, each player was left reflecting on what this game had come to mean for them. For Old Man Jenkins, it was a reaffirmation of his skills and a reminder that the thrill of the game still coursed through his veins. He felt invigorated, eager for future competitions where he could once again prove his mastery at the table. Lily, with determination burning in her heart, viewed this game as a challenge to overcome. She was resolved to reclaim her former glory and would return ready to fight, knowing that every setback was merely a stepping stone towards growth. The taste of defeat only fueled her ambition, igniting a fire that promised to rise even higher in future encounters. For Frank, this experience taught him valuable lessons about vulnerability and resilience. He realized that while luck can be fickle, the insight gained from losing is equally precious. With newfound resolve, he planned to return to the table, prepared to face his fears head-on. Marco's playful spirit still lingered, but now tinged with deeper emotions as he recognized the growing rivalry with Lily. Their relationship would inevitably bring them back together for more thrilling showdowns in the future. The day had come to an end, but their intertwined journeys had only just begun, ensuring that each poker game would continue to shape their destinies ahead.